this finds you well. It's a beautiful, beautiful day and hope everything is going well. Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast. We are your host, Andre, at the main mic. We got Jason Lamorning. We got King Johnny V. And, of course, Eryck McCowan. We're missing OG Pop Rocks, who, as you all know, has been infamous for picking up more work
Wah, 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 wah.
than necessary. But we are about to have a good time. The focus of today's topic is real easy. So I hope you all are joining us and you're excited about this. We're going to talk about what life is now, right? Everybody starts out as a kid where you don't have to really do a whole lot but go to school. The bare minimum. Like, hey, you get your grades, your parents don't beat you down, listen to what they say, you're all good. But at this point, now, all of us have been in college, graduated some form of college, working, doing something where we're adults now. And we have to make those decisions that really count for keeping us going through life. And so that's going to be kind of our focus tonight. Like, what does it mean now to have grown up, right? So we'll probably hit some parts of what it looked like for us growing up to getting to this part where, hey, you're an adult, you're in charge of your own life. What do you do next? And so hopefully y'all will stay tuned, enjoy it. Make sure if you aren't following us on all platforms, make sure that you follow us on the Amped Up. On YouTube, make sure that you follow us anywhere this podcast is available. Show us the love. Check out our Instagram. Check out all of those places where Amped Up is. Join the conversation. And you're welcome to. So, all right. So, as we get started, as you all know, I'm kind of the big brother of the team. That's just kind of how it works. I am also one of the loudest in comparison. And so I like to talk, and I could talk about this all day, but it's really kind of giving everybody insight on how life is for us. So, guys, what is it like for y'all? Like, starting out, y'all just finding out y'all really adults and y'all got to pay bills and do all that jazz. What does that look like for y'all?
Rough.
So rough. Okay, so rough in the sense of you weren't expecting it, or if it, like, in the sense of what was your expectation, right, with starting adulthood? Like, what was your kind of like first expectation with it?
That would be easy in a way. Like you would expect the transition not to be as drastic. I mean, the transition could have been worse, but you don't expect to see, a big amount of money that's being charged to your card for tuition or bills, for your phone bills or anything like that, or car payments until high school. Because, I mean, you don't really have to pay anything unless your parents say, okay, once you're in high school, you're going to start growing up. I'm going to kick you off the phone bill and you're going to start paying for it. You don't really, have to deal with that. So once college hits, it just, all right, here you go. Life doesn't really prepare you for it. Some high school classes may prepare you for it, like business law or something like that, but they don't expound upon this is what you're going to have to do in life from high school on out. They say, oh, yeah, the classes that you take are going to be used in college and all that stuff. And you're like, nah, not really. You don't really see it. You may see like bits and pieces of it, but it's not like, oh, yeah, this one math equation definitely helped me to solve this bill. No, it doesn't work like that. It's literally, you can take the same, motive or the same concept, but it's not the exact same blueprint that is going to help you out. And a lot of people don't really help you out with that unless you have some kind of mentor or some kind of parent that is in that area to help you. So it's very, very drastic.
Okay. What about y'all?
Yeah, well, it's expensive. You don't see mortgages and all that stuff. My dad talks to me about. So you work with me, you make some money. Fast money is good money.
I hear you. What about you, Eryck? Because I know that you've also seen your sister kind of get out and do her own thing. So like,
It's rough. It's a big change, and it has to happen quick.
Mm-hmm.
Mine wasn't just like a transition, like, oh, you start paying this one bill, and all right, I'm gonna give you this next bill, the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I moved out for my freshman year of college, and I was just me on my own.
Oh wow.
I hadn't worked before, so I had to manage going to class, working
Okay.
to pay for the rent and all that. And it was hard to balance. And then, like John said, that money coming out your account, it's just sitting there. You got this much, all right, I don't work, and then it's just gone. And you're like, oh, now I gotta go back to work.
Exactly.
Basically, you're working to live, right? It's like, look,
Yeah.
I'm working just to live in a house right now. Like that's, and you know, the strange part is even at my age, like when I had that transition, like I stayed in a college town so that I wouldn't have to kind of experience it, if you will. But even throughout college, because I paid for college up to a certain extent, where I was like, okay, I'm not taking out any more loans. I'm sorry, I don't want to be in debt the rest of my life. And so working 2 and 3 jobs to make sure, okay, yeah, let me be a shift manager over here. Let me run over here, be a bartender here. Let me do all this to make sure that you had what you needed. And then I still needed spending money. It's like, you can't just do the bills and not have something to spend, if you will, because then you really feel miserable. But for me, that transition was one of those where it was based off of decisions I made. Mom and dad said, hey, we will help you as much as we can for college, right? And they're like, this is all we got. And so it's like, well, how do I make up the difference? And so that required me saying, okay, where can I work? What scholarships can I get? And then at a point, it was like, okay, I don't want to do this major anymore. You got the bill? Like, oh, I got the bill. Yeah, because if you're not going to do what you signed up to do and get out in 4 years, 5 years, that means you're going to put in more time. We don't have that. You got brothers and sisters. And I think that was also one of the things as well, because being the oldest of 4, there are 3 other people that they still have to be concerned about, right? And so it required me to kind of step out, like, okay, all right, what am I doing now? Yeah. So what do you think shaped your decision to go the path that you're in right now? So whether it was college, whether it was, you know, working immediately after high school, and this is one of those questions I really wish OG was here, because why?
Homeboy done work like 20
Right.
jobs.
He works like a Jamaican. Like that's every time I think of him, I'm like, you got like 5 jobs, 10 jobs. Like, no. He's like, I'm just working this one and this one right now. But just kind of hearing I think his insight, like going into the military from like ROTC, but also working all the time. But for you all, like, what does that look like for you all? Like, oh, I want to go this path versus this path.
Mine was pretty simple. I've always wanted to go into computer science, computer engineering, working on computers. And then there was always the expectation that once I graduated college, or once I graduated high school, that I was going to move out. It wasn't really an option for me to stay home and live at home often, or for that long. So it was like I had made up my mind already long before high school. Like, this is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
And it just came together.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that's boss. If this is kind of what I've always planned on, right? Because sometimes you can plan for one thing and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and you're like, oh, that didn't actually happen out that way, right? But no, cool.
For me, I was more like a cloud in a sea of blue. I didn't really go out much when I was in high school, and then right after high school, my dad was like, you need to get work. So I got a job and worked out of school, and I went to community college for a short time. So I was doing like 14-hour shifts and then going to school. It was kind of a lot.
Okay.
But
14-hour
still,
shifts?
yeah.
I don't know how y'all be working on
Right.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, why I need 2 doubles? Like, I'm sorry, I don't know. No.
Why
Because
don't
that-
you hire some more people?
Exactly.
I'm working 2 shifts in a day.
Because that overtime tax don't. Oh, man. But for me, it was always a dream to be in the sports field, to play some type of football or basketball. Throughout high school, that kind of changed into computers and art, and then it changed to cybersecurity and all that. And I saw the field in that, and then that changed, and then it went to what it is now. I'm hopefully still going to be in the Coast Guard, but that has also been a process. So seeing the processes from the past plans, that's changed because of today, and some of them I kind of regret it a little bit, only because the people that wanted me to do a certain thing, I kind of felt bad for them that I didn't do what they had planned or hoped or dreamed.
Right.
But I kind of had to still look out for myself. And yeah, I would love to have been on computers like all day, like Eryck does, because that's a passion for Eryck. But then when I really came down to what I wanted to do, the more passion for me was just more hands-on.
Okay.
So hopefully it's still going in that route, but we will see. I don't know. Life has really changed, your thought process growing up, because in high school it was all, lackadaisical in a way. You don't really have to worry about much. But then in college, life really hits you fast, because you got to get to work, you got to get money, you got to make sure that you're doing what you need to do so you get a good job. Because jobs nowadays are making you have a whole bunch of degrees and experience. You don't really get a lot of experience when you're in high school and in college. And they expect, to apply, you have to have 5 years in this area, 2 or 3 degrees, master's or doctorate. You got to go back to school.
Right.
For me, I really don't like school. I'd rather, be training and then working, because I already know if you train me right, I'm going to do what you want and more. I shouldn't have to. I know you should have to go and get the experience, but if I trust in you to teach me how you want me to do the job, I think I'll be all right. But going back to school and seeing all the requirements, it kind of changed. So I was like, nah.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, and that is one of the big things that we have to deal with, like, even in this time. Like, COVID has changed a lot of things for a whole lot of people. Like, it has made companies think more remote access to what's going on. And so that has been one of the big things that even during this time, growing up, and now all of a sudden, hey, not only can you not be outside doing everything that you're normally doing, but now you have to figure out how to work a job from home with all the distractions known to man right there at your fingertips, right? And so how are you all dealing with your experience with life right now, working jobs during this COVID season? Like, with everything going on the way it is, like, how are y'all dealing with that?
I was working the whole time.
Okay. So you didn't stop working? Okay.
It wasn't that bad of a transition for me. I prefer being inside at my computer, and that's what I do now. Before at college, I was working in retail.
Okay.
Which I didn't like. I don't like talking to people.
Gotcha.
It wasn't for me.
That's too funny. Nope. Makes sense.
So COVID has been good for me.
Okay. Okay.
Same. COVID's actually been a blessing. Not in the aspect that it's what the impact it has on the world, but I don't mind being at home, and I don't mind going out. But in the same sense, when COVID had really taken the world by storm, I was over a class taking online classes. So it wasn't like I really need to be there. I was just there monitoring my students.
Gotcha.
So if they needed me, they honestly could have just emailed me.
Gotcha.
So when the school year was still going on, I literally just had to sit on my computer and just make sure if I had an email, I had to answer it. That was it.
Gotcha.
I was fine with that. I was still getting paid. I didn't mind it. It was good. Like, I literally worked whatever I wanted and didn't have to worry about anything. So I honestly don't mind it, because I literally set the schedule that I want to, work around. If we were doing this, I could literally still have my email up and just make sure I just respond to you.
Gotcha.
So that way I can do multiple things at once. So it's not a bad thing that this pandemic has changed some things, but it's made some things easier.
Right. No, and it really has. It has opened the door for seeing that you can still be at home and be productive. I think that's one of the big things that employers are really understanding, that, hey, we can still get the job done. There's a little more flexibility. One of the things that has been huge for me is it has added a different life work-life balance for me. Most of the time I spend, 8+ hours out of the house. And then if I'm commuting anywhere, I'm on the road. So then it's like, oh, get the kids, bring the kids home, feed them dinner, bathe them, go to bed. And then we start up the next day. COVID has really slowed it down to where, hey, I'm there when they wake up. I'm there throughout the day to, eat breakfast, eat lunch with them, spend time with them. And then, hey, it's time to go to bed. Oh, well, Dad, we've seen you all day. Go away. And even at their early ages, it's one of those things where I'm like, man, these are the best times to be spending with them because they want to be around you. When they get to your age, they're like, give it or take it. We'll take it or lose it. We go, and go and do our own things. But this has given me an opportunity to spend with my kids that working a normal 9 to 5 at an office, project driven, things like that. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to. The plus here as well is I also get to work on the side hustles. Like those little things that, hey, I would spend time, oh, you got a lunch break. Here, let me take a little half an hour and knock out some things for the company that I'm working on.
Right.
Now I get to do both simultaneously. It's like, oh, working on this, click, close that screen and go to something else that I enjoy, that I love doing. Even I started streaming, right? I started live streaming conversations and just kind of things to encourage people to live their best life. Like even now, it's an opportunity that because of COVID, it's like, oh, well, look into this platform, try this platform out. Oh, look into this, try this out, build this. So even building courses has been one of those things that now I can sit at home, do some work, and build and look up whatever I need to keep things going. So that has been kind of the big plus for me with COVID. And I love my kids. And so being able to see them running around, Daddy, I need your help with this. No. You don't need my help with that right now. Daddy, he hit me. Like, really? Guys, y'all can make this stuff work. But at the same time, I know that there's structure that they need. So I'm so glad that school started. I'm so glad that school started so that they at least have some structure. During the summer, it was like, okay, Daddy, we just want to play and do everything outside and everything we can with you. And that's understandable. But now that school started, it has given them that, okay, we got a break from Daddy. Let's go hang out with people our age. And then we can come back and say hi to Daddy and spend time with Daddy because Daddy's at home versus us having to go and wait a couple more hours because Daddy's at work and he can't pick us up yet. So that has been kind of the added bonus to COVID.
And COVID has also, in one way or another, saved us all some money. Because I know when you're waking up at 5 in the morning, then going to work and coming back and sitting in traffic, it saves you gas money. I don't have to spend $20 to $30 every week and a half or 20 or 2 weeks. Like, I literally choose, okay, I'm going to spend gas money once a month or once every 2 months because I'm not going nowhere. Right. But also, like what you say, you're spending more time with family. And I know a lot of people that, work all those strenuous hours, at work or traveling everywhere, they can now spend those times or those hours with, their kids or their cousins or anyone because where are you going to go?
Right.
We can't even go out the country really because other
Nobody
countries are
they're like, you're American? Nope.
We banned. Unless you were born in that country, you're not really going back. And I know a lot of athletes, especially Kobe, rest in peace, before he passed away, he said when he was in like an NBA season and he was, waking up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym, come back, waking his kids up to go to school, bringing them to school, and then going back to the Staples Center to work out, and then going back home for like an hour, eating, and then coming back to the Staples Center to play a game. When he said he had time off and didn't have to really go to the Staples Center or anything like that, his wife was just like, "Oh, I'll take care of the kids." He was like, "No. Like, let me see my kids. Like, this is time I can't get back."
Right.
So I can see how now people are really going to cherish the time spending with family and all that because this is the most time you're probably going to get in a long time because COVID started March?
Yep, March.
Second week of March is now September going on October. That's 5-6 months. That's time that you can't waste. And if you wasted it, sorry, you messed up.
Right.
Because this is time that you can't get back.
Mm-hmm.
No. I've seen a lot of people say that they're seeing family that they haven't seen in so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll be able to see their family more often that they haven't seen, like aunts and uncles that they may see once a year at Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
That they're able to spend more time together just because either people are off from work or they just have more freedom or more. They're able to go places and visit the people that they won't be able to see often.
Right. Yeah. No. And I think that's the posture of remote work. You don't have to be in one location as long as you're getting the work done. Right.
Right.
You can be anywhere in the world, or that's allowed to you.
With Wi-Fi.
With Wi-Fi, yes.
With Wi-Fi.
You got, as long as you have internet. Look, as long as you have internet, you can do wherever you need to. Excuse me. So what about like your faith experience? Like, how does that look for you now? Like, even as when we were younger, mom and dad said, "This is what you believe," right? Like, this is what mom and dad kind of shaped up for us. Like, this is what you believe, and this is what you will believe until you die. And as we get older, we understand a little different. What does your faith walk look like growing up? Now that you're an adult, like, how does that look? How does that work for you?
I feel like since I've been getting older, I've had to fight more for my faith. Not necessarily fight for the faith, but like stick up for what I believe in.
Okay.
When people around me, like, they're questioning, "Oh, why do you do this so much?" or "Why are you at church all the time?" I'm like, I don't know. That was nothing I had to really think about as a child. My parents were like, "All right, we're going to church." I'm like, okay, I'm at church 3 to 4 times a week. That was normal to me.
Right.
So I feel like I going to college and seeing so many different people. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I go to church once a month. I go to church for Christmas." Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Really?
I go to church about 3-4 times a week. I drive back home to church on Sundays, an hour and a half. That's normal to me. It's not something like crazy to me. So I just I guess getting more comfortable in what I believe in and the things that I do, and not worrying about like what other people do, what they think about my action.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's really instilled in you as a young age. Going to church is pretty much normal. So when you hear a friend saying, "Oh yeah, I haven't been to church in like 3-4 years. Last time I went to church was like on Easter Sunday," but they still say that they're a Christian or something like that. I'm just like,
Are you really?
really? Because there's no way. I mean, you can still be a Christian, but how? Like, what are you working on to have made you, so strong in that 3 years? Like, have you heard a sermon or anything like that in the past 3 or 4 years that you don't really have to go to church, that often or something? Because what are you doing? Because clearly something ain't right or something's missing. Because, I'm still going to church 2 to 3 times, 4 times a week. And sometimes in my life I feel like something's missing. And if you feel like you have something figured out, let everyone know, because I don't get it. But as I've gotten older, I've really had to rely on faith growing up, because as we're becoming adults, you don't have all the answers. No one has all the answers. So you have to really look to God and just be like, "Help me out," because I don't know what's going on with the experiences that I'm going through. I don't think anyone else has gone through it. Maybe they have similar experiences, but no one has the same position that I'm in. So I'm trying to figure it out and not also hinder other people or take my emotions out on other people. So help me out to stay calm and have some sort of comfort and some sort of answer, because your boy be struggling sometimes.
Life be rough.
It's real, and that's real. Like, even now it is one of those things that we have to deal with in our faith. Like, this is a different time for us, in the sense of when mom and dad said, "This is what you believe," you believed it, and you're like, okay, cool. And that's why the Bible goes back to believing like a child, because a child, you say one thing and they would take it and run with it. Like,
Sure do.
Example, I said, "Benjamin, Pop is getting pizza for the family." Okay, cool.
Oh boy.
Where's Pop? No, the pizza man is going to bring the. No, but you said Pop was bringing pizza for the family. No. He was buying pizza for the family. He sent it over with the driver. Okay. 30 seconds later. Hey, Dad, when's Pop coming over? What are you talking about? Like, what's going on? No. But you said Pop was coming over with pizza. No. Pop was paying for pizza so that you all could have pizza. But Dad, when's Pop coming? Is he bringing something else? Is he coming to hang out for a little while? Is he coming to eat pizza with us? Like, all these questions. But I understood that, like, they take what you say to heart. So even if you mess it up and still, oh, Pop was going to bring such and such. Okay, their expectation, their mindset immediately
he's
is
going to be right here.
Pop going to be right here. We're going to see Pop. And I'm telling you, homeboy ran around the house excited Pop was coming. It was like, and of course, his sister was doing the same thing. Pop. And so she's looking out the window and everything. And I felt bad because I'm like, if I said it this way, right, now there is the assumption that Pop is going to show up. Mm-hmm. If I said it this way, but that's how our faith is supposed to be, to the extent that we believe God wholeheartedly. Like, it's not a question that, oh, yeah, our parents told us this, yeah, and we believed it, but now for us as an adult, we approach God the same way. No, I just believe God. Why? Because I believe God. That's, bam, is plain and simple. And I think that is one of the pressures that we have with seeing other people who say that they believe, but there's not really evidence of it, right? You oh yeah, I believe God all day, every day. Where's your evidence?
Right.
Like, yeah. What about you, Jason? How's your faith walk affected, together during this time? Like, how do you keep the faith right now?
Yeah, same thing like they said. Always grew up that there's a God out there and he's always looking out for you, but not in school. People are saying there is no God, or why do you believe in that, or why do you like censor everything you say? I'm like, it's not censoring, it's how I talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I talk.
Like, you don't need to.
Like, why don't you cuss? I don't know. I never cuss.
Right.
I don't need it.
Yeah. So, and just believing like wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like life is difficult nowadays.
Right.
It's like you believe, but sometimes I'm like, why does he take your time out for one person,
Mm-hmm.
But he's always there for everyone, so.
Right. No, and that's true. It's rough. It can be rough at times to understand that, hey, this is what we're going through. This is what we're faced with. But it's part of the experience. Like, it's part of life as we know it. Faith is a huge part that we have to kind of understand. And as I'm thinking about testimonies that I've shared with, I think you all at different times. Like, I had to find my faith for a while. I got called into the ministry at a young age, and it was like, okay, yeah, do we go to college away, or do we stay in school here and be involved in ministry? And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that was requirement of me at 17 years old. Like, oh, yeah, you can do this minister stuff. What? Like, I'm still trying to get out of school. What you mean? So it's just one of those things that even then, it was like, okay, what does your faith mean to you? And I didn't think I had anything to offer anybody. Mm-hmm. And I think that was probably my biggest struggle, being called to the ministry so early. And it was one of those things that was kind of, people had said it over life all along. So like, oh yeah, you're gonna be a minister, you're gonna be doing this. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. But when you get to that, hey, have to make an adult decision, what do I do? And so for me, that meant, I'm out. I will catch y'all when I get back from school.
And me and Jason also know someone mutually that when you really dive into their thoughts or what they believe in, it's turn off. Because for me, I feel like I would be disrespectful to God and also my faith if I was to switch it, because this person that Jason and I know is all about astrology.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, some of the astrology is wrong or whatever. I don't know. But personally, when you really look at the logic of it, it just kind of doesn't add up. Because people say, oh, yeah, there's no God. Where'd you get God from and all that? I believe in this and that and the third. And when you listen to this, that, and the third, you kind of want to question them back and be like, where'd you get this from? and they'll be like the sun, the moon, the stars, and all that. But you're just like, where did it come from? You don't have an answer where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
The sun was at this time of the day or whatever. But you're just like, show me the facts, because it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are just like, oh, don't talk to me, or don't hit me up unless your sign is this, that, and the third. And you're just like, who are you going to find that has this specific sign? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a part of like Aries or Libra or whatever, what does that signify? That you're compatible or whatever? Yeah, it could, mean that, but why are you basing it off a sign? You should really get to know the person based on who they are and all that. So just because, I'm a Sagittarius and I don't know, my moon time or my sun time makes me, not qualified to talk to you. That doesn't make any sense. Like, just because I believe in God doesn't mean, I don't know, anything about, a sign. That doesn't, add up to me. So I feel like it would be disrespectful to just say, oh yeah, God, I'm start believing in astrology now. And that dictates my mood, my energy, my all that. That's no. My energy is based on who I am and what I want, to believe in or what I want to do. It's based on my characteristics, not my sign.
Gotcha.
So that girl, bro, like that girl is on Twitter and posts like her horoscope and all that, and I'm just like, how much of that stuff is actually right? Because some people are just like, oh yeah, my sign said I was going to do this today, that today, and this was just all right. I'm like, that can't be right 365 days a year, 24/7. There's no way. Someone has to be making this stuff up, or you're making it up.
This is some weird stuff too.
Yeah.
Today I'm gonna be sad. You're gonna find heartbreak today.
Like what?
But
The sun is rising over Venus.
But that's the thing. Like, everything I think is subjective, right? And I guess it all deals with your life experience. If you were told never to delve into, astrology and thinking about like the different signs and so forth, then there's a likelihood that you may never deal in those signs. Like, that wasn't something that you saw at regular, right? I know some people that I have met across the world that, oh, my parents started this. Like, oh, I'm a Wiccan. You're a what? And then you do the research and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a witch of the light. And I'm like, oh, so you're claiming to be a witch, or yeah, so you do spells and stuff? No.
You want a Wizard of Oz?
But no, just to hear some of how people were brought up, how they were raised, much of that sticks with them. It's interesting, however, though, I think that there are so many people that say they were Christian and or believe God at one point, like in their childhood, and they walked away, like completely walked away from their faith, and they haven't returned, or they got to a point in there. Now, there are some that will get to a point, they'll walk away for a time, and then they'll come back and they're like, oh yeah, this is why I believed what I did, right? And then there's another spectrum where it's like, we're going to do the exact opposite of everything we were told to believe. Right, the complete opposite. Right. It's not even going to make sense, but people are going to look at us like, what in the world is... Like, you were raised totally different from this. What are you doing? Like, yeah. But it's everybody's experience, right? Everybody's life experience, their past, how they were raised, and then their decisions. Everybody has to be accountable for what they do, what they choose to do, and how they choose to move next. So, yeah, even in this time, like, what is it about life? Like, as you move forward in kind of the dreams that you all have, the things that you all want to do, what is kind of the driving motive to your dream? Like, okay, I need to do this. I want to accomplish this, this, and this. How am I going to get by it?
Before we answer that question, we're going to have to go to part 2.
Okay.
They're going to have to come back next week.
Oh, well, look, we've had such a good conversation. We got lost in it. So, look, I hope that you all are having a good time. I hope you're enjoying the conversation and the dialogue that's going on. Make sure that you come back for part 2 of this conversation. It's going to be lit. Whatever you're doing, follow us on all of our Amped Up platforms. Make sure you check us out on Twitter. Make sure you check us out on Instagram. Make sure you check us out on YouTube and make the best of it. Always live in Amped Up, and we'll catch you all when we get to part 2. All right.
Woo!